Black Panther is arguably one of the best things Marvel Studios has going for it. Many have called the superhero movie a socio-political phenomenon, a groundbreaking celebration of Black culture. Today, we're going to explore the impressive, or otherwise visual, effects in the Black Panther movie. And if you're curious to know what the Marvel movie really looks like, without all the nifty computer magic and green screens, we've got you covered. How VFX artists brought Wakanda to life. It would have been nice to have a country like Wakanda exist in our world, rich with the extraordinary metal vibranium, which theoretically could have given us all indestructible supersuits and heart-shaped plants that could have made our superhero fantasies very much a reality. Unfortunately, the land of Wakanda is nothing but computer algorithms and a pool in Atlanta. The Black Panther contained more than 2,000 VFX shots of varying complexities. For reference, big-budget films used to require only 500 to 1,000 VFX shots. You'd be surprised to know that The Fellowship of the Ring merely had 480 visual effects shots back in 2001. Safe to say the film relied heavily on CGI to bring Wakanda and its superhero to life. Most of the shots of the fictional African country are fully CGI, including its wide aerial shots and the entire sequence that explains the birth of the Wakanda metropolis. The biggest challenge, surprisingly, wasn't the creation of any of the elaborate fight scenes throughout the movie. Instead, it was creating the rich nation of Wakanda. Because unlike the other fictitious nations of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like Asgard for example, Wakanda had to feel like a real place within Earth. So the VFX teams joined forces with the production design team and went on a scouting trip to Africa. What would the Warrior Falls look like without CGI? One of the most technically and creatively demanding settings in Black Panther was the Warrior Falls. You'd remember it from one of the initial fight scenes in the movie where our hero, T'Challa, is fighting to prove he's worthy of the Black Panther powers and being the King of Wakanda after the demise of his father. The set of Warrior Falls was inspired by an actual place called Oribi in South Africa, and it wasn't all CGI. In fact, the live-action part of the falls was an intricate outdoor set that was built at the OFS fiber optics plant in the northern part of Atlanta. It involved a 60-foot wide pool with 30-foot high cliffs behind it, featuring 3 strongly running falls, which were feeding about 30,000 gallons of water per minute over the designed cliff set and into the pool. In order to give it the realistic look that we saw on screen, the production design crew had the pool elevated 6 feet above the ground. The height allowed the water to gush over its sides and also drain back into the tank. The VFX supervisor, Jeffrey Bauman, explained that this design helped the cameras in moving freely in any direction. The relatively small waterfall set was then extended with the help of CGI to build the grand environment of the scene that included 102 powerful waterfalls, each requiring a unique simulation. So if you take away the computer graphics from the Warrior Falls fight, you'd be left with a bunch of green screens and a towering pool set. Doesn't sound very majestic now, does it? Black Panther's car chase sequence minus VFX. One of the most anticipated action sequences in Marvel's Black Panther was the high-octane car chase scene in the streets of South Korea. The part where King T'Challa is all geared up in his armor to hunt down the notorious Ulysses Klaue was rivetingly executed on screen courtesy of a lot of VFX. According to Luma, one of the visual effects teams working on the film, they had to incorporate a bunch of special effects tactics to build up that chase, including CGI cars, the intersections on the streets, buildings, and even people, just so they could imitate the nightlife of South Korea authentically. There's a part in the chase sequence where our protagonist is trying out the new kinetic energy suit in the field, and if you remember, most of it featured the late Chadwick Boseman hanging on the roof of a Lexus LC500. The VFX team brought us that exhilarating score by combining real photography with CGI CG environments, along with the extra destruction effects and a CGI Black Panther. Without all that CGI, the car chase scene is just a series of faceless black and white animated images, minus all the colorful oomph we saw on screen. The actors brought the imagery to life by doing a series of motion capture sessions in-house under the supervision of a stunt performer. Most of the fight, jump, and parkour moves were captured there, then later were pushed into animation and modified to work in the scene accordingly. If it weren't for these special effects, the actors would pretty much look like mimes, jumping around nothing and fighting thin air. The Black Panther armor, real or CGI? You'd think the actor would have had to jump into cool black tights and a matching shirt set to bring Black Panther's suit to life, after some added special effects, of course. After all, we did see Boseman in an actual costume when the initial set photos came out, but apparently gone are the days of superhero tights. Turns out the cool vibranium-based armor is made up of VFX tricks. The screenwriter of the film revealed that every shot of the Black Panther's costume is entirely CG. Apparently, the makers had to do a ton of work on the suit that was supposed to look outworldly with a certain luminescence to it because of the vibranium. But to construct a practical outfit made of woven metal is, as you can guess, pretty impossible. For one, the actor or the stunt double wouldn't be able to flexibly move around, which doesn't sit well if your hero is supposed to be swift and agile. Secondly, they could very likely sweat to death while shooting in such a suit, and even if there was a way to overcome those issues, it would still be impossible to capture the element of luminescence, which is critical to the Black Panther supersuit. Without the CGI, T'Challa's armor would lose character. It would be a plain, all-black suit without the delicate Wakandan inscriptions on it, and of course without the brilliant touch of the purple kinetic force. We're not sure if the real suit would have packed the same punch as the CGI suit did. Black Panther's CGI problems. So we know for a fact that the suit isn't supposed to look at all realistic, considering the vibranium aspect and its futuristic abilities. But there have been complaints about the hero's movements being too rubbery, especially in the final fight sequence between Killmonger and T'Challa. Both the variants of the Black Panther armor were amongst the coolest things about the movie, but seeing them go head-to-head wasn't as much of a treat as everyone anticipated because of the shabby CGI effect. The animators had initially thought of only adding details like CGI helmets and energy effects, while everything else was supposed to be mostly live action. However, they ended up using way more CGI than they first set out to. The ending underground fight scene uses full body replacements, digital doubles integrated into live action scenes, which makes the scene seem more like a video game as opposed to a film. Many of the fans were disappointed at the end of the movie and called out Marvel for their excessive use of CGI, which in most cases seems unnecessary. Will Black Panther 2 use a CG Boseman? The sad demise of Boseman has left a gaping hole in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The question now on everyone's mind is, how will there be a second installment of the film without the lead actor? Will the Black Panther mantle be passed on? Will another actor take up the role of Boseman as King T'Challa? Or will the Marvel team lean on CGI to resurrect him on screen one more time? Some of the tactics have been used before, like the time they simply changed Iron Man's best friend Rhodey, who was initially played by Terrence Howard, but was soon replaced by Don Cheadle. Or remember the time when Edward Norton was the Hulk instead of Mark Ruffalo? However, the studio is choosing to honor its superhero and has shut down any rumors of T'Challa's recasting. In addition to that, Marvel Studios has clarified that it will not use CGI to include the late actor in the upcoming sequel. There's only one Chadwick, and he's not with us, said executive producer Victoria Alonso. It remains unknown exactly how Black Panther Wakanda Forever will address Boseman's death, if at all, but sources have revealed that the sequel will dive deeper into the mythology of Wakanda. That wraps up our video for today, folks. Do you think Marvel is opting for the easy way out with excessive CGI? Is there something like too many visual effects when it comes to our superhero movies? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.